night fell over Troy, shrouding the city in smoke and ash. The flames of the conflagration reflected in the eyes of Achilles, who stood amid the ruins, his heart torn by anger and grief. Hector, the fallen hero, lay motionless on the charred field, but the shadow of his spirit glided through the streets, like a whisper of former glory. Odysseus quietly watched the movements of his enemies, his cunning and intelligence the only light in the darkness. Menelaus, wounded and weary, prayed quietly, addressing the gods with both hope and fear. Athena, watching from the clouds, softly whispered advice to Odysseus, guiding his thoughts through the chaos, while Ares clenched his fists in the shadows, thirsting for destruction. Apollo, reserved and cold, hesitated between vengeance and fate, casting a soft, golden light on the smoldering streets. Zeus looked down from above, his lightning barely visible through the clouds, but each flash seemed to remind mortals of the power of the gods. Troy trembled under the roar of war, but even amidst the fire and blood, the whispers of fallen heroes could be heard, their voices intertwined with the wind, telling of secrets humanity was not yet ready to understand. Remnants of forbidden knowledge lurked at every step, artifacts, scrolls, symbols left behind by those closer to the gods than mortals. This evening was not simply the end of the city. It was a night when heaven and earth intertwined in an endless dance of curses, wrath, and wisdom that only a select few could understand. And as the ashes settled on the ruins, Achilles' breathing slowed, and his heart filled with both fear and understanding. Troy's night was only just beginning, and the voices of the gods whispered their secrets to those who still lived. As the flames of the fires died down, darkness fell even deeper, hiding the charred walls and ruined streets. But among the shadows, heroes fallen in battle came to life, their spirits gliding silently through the ruins, as if trying to complete unfinished business. Hector moved slowly among the remains of houses, his gaze filled not with fear, but with pride and quiet sadness for the homeland he loved more than life itself. Achilles stood to the side, and even in the silence, his anger was palpable, not at people, but at the inevitability of fate that leads heroes to ruin. Odysseus whispered words under his breath that no one heard, prophecies of future journeys and invisible maps that lead through chaos. Menelaus touched the ruined altar, and his fingers felt the soft warmth of the ancient stone, as if the deity itself were reminding him that war is but a part of the eternal order. The gods hovered silently above the city. Athena watched with a faint smile, her eyes following Odysseus's every step, sending subtle clues. Ares glided in the shadows, his presence almost imperceptible, but a sense of unease made every living heart tremble. Apollo cast the light of his knowledge across the night, illuminating hidden symbols and manuscripts that could tell those who could hear about the fall of Troy. The ghosts of heroes whispered to each other of forbidden things they had seen and experienced, of wisdom inaccessible to the living. The silence was not emptiness, but a field filled with untold stories, the voices of the gods, and the bitterness of lost glory. On this night, even the ashes seemed alive, preserving the memory of what had been and what might yet be. Deep within the ruined palaces and temples of Troy lay objects forbidden to be touched by mere mortals. Inscribed scrolls glowing faintly, mysterious amulets, and golden statues left by heroes and gods held knowledge unimaginable. Achilles passed by one such artifact, his gaze reflecting the flames of fire, momentarily lingering on the mysterious symbols, wisdom and power at once, as if Athena herself were whispering to him from the clouds. Menelaus and Odysseus carefully touched the stone slabs engraved with symbols. They understood. Every touch revealed more than mere knowledge. It awakened memories of the past and warned of the future. Even in the chaos of Troy, amidst the ashes and shadows, the presence of the gods was felt. Ares clenched his fist, as if reminding them, strength without wisdom can destroy. Apollo softly illuminated the ruins with his golden light, revealing forbidden knowledge reserved for those who dared to listen. The ghosts of Hector and other heroes glided among the ruins, as if guarding secrets that could change the fate of humanity. The silence was thick, but within it lay the breath of wisdom and the whispers of the gods, concealing the mysteries of war, love, and betrayal. These artifacts were more than mere objects. They were keys to a truth only a select few could understand, and every step between them felt like a journey through time, memory, and the eternal curse of Troy. Ash, flame, and darkness merged into a single fabric of reality, where the past intertwined with the future, and each artifact held within itself both light and darkness, and the knowledge for which heroes and gods paid in eternity. Over the ruins of Troy, the night was thick and warm, and the sky was illuminated by the faint lights of the stars, beneath which the gods quietly whispered among themselves. Athena watched over Odysseus, guiding his thoughts through the chaos, as if an invisible hand were nudging him toward the wisdom and cunning that would save the lives of those who remained. Ares glided over the field, his presence barely perceptible, but a threat hung in the air, subtle as the breath of death, making the hearts of mortals tremble. Apollo cast the light of his mind, softly illuminating paths and signs that only heroes attentive to the whispers of the sky could decipher. Zeus, majestic and stern, watched over every action, reminding mortals and immortals alike that fate is not only their choice but also the play of the gods, eternal and endless. Hera, smiling softly, steered events toward her plans hidden in every rustle of the wind, in every reflection of the flame. The ghosts of fallen heroes glided among the ruins, as if hearing the whispers of Olympus, their souls filled with both fear and knowledge inaccessible to the living. Achilles felt the breath of the gods on his skin, but this did not inspire submission, only the understanding that war was but a small part of an eternal game, where every step could change fate. The night of Troy was alive. In every whisper, in every glow of ashes, and in every movement of shadows, one sensed the power that mortals called mysticism, and heroes called fate. And even in this silence, one could hear the laughter and wrath of the gods, who knew that no life is left without a trace, no knowledge vanishes without a trace. Ashes slowly settled on the ruins of Troy, as if the earth itself were trying to remember every name, every breath of the heroes who fell in fire and blood. Curses sown by gods and fate would long haunt those who remained alive. Achilles stood among the charred columns, his heart filled with the realization that victory has its price, and that price is often eternal darkness of the soul. Hector, now a shadow of his former glory, glided through the city streets, a reminder that even heroes cannot escape the consequences of their actions. Odysseus clutched the artifacts he had found, revealing forbidden knowledge, and understood that what mortals saw was only a shadow of what the gods knew. Menelaus and Helen walked quietly through the ashes, their hearts heavy with loss and fear, but their eyes sparkling with hope that history would still be preserved. The gods watched, quietly whispering instructions and warnings. Athena left signs of wisdom, Ares hints of threat, Apollo glimmers of understanding that power and knowledge must go hand in hand. Troy's curses weren't just punishment. They were lessons, hidden wisdom that would be passed on through legends and tales in the future. And so the night consumed the city, leaving only the quiet whispers of heroes, the whispers of gods, and the soft light of the stars, which seemed to say to everyone still able to hear, "The memory of Troy lives forever, as do the lessons it left behind." In these whispers there was fear, there was hope, and there was eternal wisdom that can only be understood by those willing to listen and see beyond the ordinary. At dawn, the ashes of Troy were barely illuminated by a soft light, but Achilles' heart burned with a rage that could not be quelled. He walked among charred columns and toppled statues, remembering the death of Patroclus, his friend and brother in arms. Every step echoed his pain, and the hero's shadow, once shining on the battlefield, now glided across the ruins, a reminder of the price of glory. Athena quietly whispered to him of fate, channeling his anger into understanding, but Achilles heard only the faintest whisper. It seemed to him that the earth, covered in ash and blood, held within itself all the injustice of the world, and the gods watched from above, not interfering, only allowing his emotions to reach their limits. In this mixture of pain, pride, and undying rage, a philosophical thought was born. Power without control is a curse, and anger, no matter how righteous it may seem, always leaves a mark. Menelaus and Odysseus, passing by, felt the same darkness, but in different forms: fear, guilt, and a quiet hope that it was still possible to fix it. Each hero, though alive, was already a prisoner of history, trapped between the curses of the gods and their own honor. The fall of Troy left them with a choice: give in to rage and lose themselves, or embrace the wisdom revealed only amidst the ruins. And as the morning breath softened the rustling of the ruined city, Achilles understood that his journey was not yet complete. In every charred stone, in every whisper of the wind, in every glance of Hector's shadow, a lesson was hidden. Strength and rage are but part of the eternal game played by the gods, and men are mere pawns, capable of seeing more than they themselves realize. Amid the ashes and silence left by the fall of Troy, Odysseus slowly walked through the ruined streets. His mind, as sharp and insightful as ever, sought ways not only to survive but also to understand the hidden patterns left by the gods. Athena quietly whispered to him of cunning routes, secret doors, and signs that could save the lives of the remaining heroes. He touched every stone, as if sensing information left within them by ancient hands that knew more than mortals could imagine. Menelaus walked beside him, his shoulders tense, his gaze filled with weariness and determination. He sensed the presence of the gods, Ares in the shadows, ready to unleash another moment of destiny, and Apollo sending a soft light, suggesting a way through the chaos. Menelaus thought of Helen, of how love and guilt intertwine, and how the city's past had forever changed their lives. Night and morning merged into a quiet gray light, and the whispers of the gods seemed almost tangible, like the wind gliding between columns and ruined houses. Odysseus smiled through his weariness. Even amidst the ruins and shadows, the knowledge left by Olympus offered a chance to understand that history was not yet complete. Every step was a lesson, every shadow a clue, and every thought a warning that even amid chaos there is meaning, if one can see and hear beyond the ordinary. And as they walked through the ruins, the soft echoes of past battles whispered, wisdom and cunning, courage and love, anger and forgiveness, all intertwined in the eternal game of gods and men, where every choice leaves a mark that cannot be erased. The darkness of night enveloped the ruins of Troy, and even the ashes seemed alive, preserving the memory of great deeds. Hector, though disheartened, glided through the streets, as if guarding the city he loved more than life itself. His shadow moved between the ruined columns and fragments of walls, and every step seemed an echo of former grandeur. Achilles had already retreated into his thoughts. Odysseus and Menelaus walked ahead, but Hector remained here, in the memory of the city and in the whispers of the gods. Athena watched quietly, her gaze touching the heroes' shadows, sending soft signals of wisdom. Ares clenched his fists, but even he could not hinder the quiet majesty emanating from Hector's spirit. The ghosts of fallen warriors whispered words of support and consolation to him, as if reminding him that honor is not only glory on the battlefield, but also an understanding of one's mistakes, forgiveness for oneself and for those who remained alive. The philosophy of heroism was revealed in his every thought. A man is not measured only by strength and courage, but also by the ability to stand firm in the face of defeat. Hector understood that even in death, his actions would leave a mark, and the memory of Troy would live on as a lesson for all who would ever enter the game of gods and mortals. The wind whispered through the rubble, bringing the scent of smoke and old herbs mingled with the echoes of war. And in this quiet rustle, amidst shadows, light, and ash, the same lesson was heard: heroism is not only heroic deeds, but also the ability to maintain honor when the entire world crumbles around you. Through the mist of ruins, Menelaus walked slowly beside Helen. Their steps seemed silent on the charred streets of Troy, but their hearts beat dully, heavy with fear, guilt, and bitter loss. Helen lowered her gaze to the ashes, her thoughts filled with regret. How many destinies had been changed by love, how many cities had fallen and risen from ruins at the whim of the gods. Menelaus felt her pain, and with it, his own responsibility. Athena quietly touched their thoughts, like an invisible hand, gently guiding their hearts to the understanding that love and guilt were intertwined with the fate of the city. Ares, on the other hand, was almost imperceptibly present, nudging a shadow of anxiety and a premonition that the consequences of Troy's fall would linger for centuries to come. Apollo sent a golden light through the darkness, illuminating symbols that might help them understand why passion and sacrifice so often go hand in hand. The ghosts of the fallen whispered to them of those already gone, reminding them that even love and guilt are part of the gods' great game, and their decisions will echo in the future. And as night softly enveloped the ruined city, Menelaus and Helen walked on, feeling the whispers of the gods, the breath of the fallen, and the weight of their own fate. This silence was not frightening, but wondrous. Love, guilt, and wisdom intertwined in a quiet lesson for all mortals who dared to follow in the footsteps of heroes who saw more than mere humans could comprehend. As the morning mist lifted over the ruins of Troy, the heavens still quietly whispered their stories. Athena, hovering above the remains of palaces, left subtle marks on the stones and ashes, as if guiding the heroes toward the future they had yet to build. Ares, by contrast, glided in the shadows, his presence barely perceptible, yet a reminder that strength without wisdom always brings destruction. Apollo cast his golden light through the ruins, illuminating hidden artifacts and symbols that offered insight to those who dared to look deeper than the eyes could see. Zeus watched quietly from above, his silent consent and wrath woven into the complex web of fate, forcing mortals and immortals alike to recognize that their every thought, every action, was part of a greater game. Achilles, Hector, Odysseus, Menelaus, and Helen felt the whispers of the gods. Soft, barely audible, yet rich with lessons of wisdom, love, wrath, and forgiveness. The ghosts of the fallen glided among the ruins, carrying memories of great deeds and lost cities, like a reminder that the past remains alive as long as it is remembered. And in this quiet, almost silent light, each hero sensed a simple yet profound truth. The gods not only watch, they guide, teach, and test, and fate is not merely the choice of mortals but also a reflection of an eternal game in which past, present, and future are woven into a single fabric. The night of Troy gradually faded, leaving behind lessons that will live on in legends, whispers, and shadows for centuries to come. Night shrouded the ruins of Troy in a thick fog, and Cassandra wandered among the shadows, silently whispering words no one dared take seriously. Her eyes, full of sorrow and knowledge, reflected visions of the future that mortals refused to see. Each word was both a curse and a warning, as if Athena herself had imbued her with wisdom, and with it, the heavy burden of misunderstood truths. Whispers of past battles drifted through the empty streets, but Cassandra heard more. The voices of the gods, quiet hints and clues that could change the course of history. She touched the broken columns, and in every crack she sensed a warning. The secrets of Troy were not for those who seek only glory and wealth. Here lay the knowledge of the fall of cities, the fates of heroes, and how love, wrath, and honor were intertwined in the complex fabric of life and death. The ghosts of the fallen glided beside her, as if listening to her words, their soft voices whispering, "Listen and remember, for knowledge is not a gift, but a test." Athena and Apollo gently touched her thoughts, leaving clues for those who dared to listen, while Ares watched in the shadows, reminding her that strength without wisdom turns to destruction. And in this silence, Cassandra spoke, and the world listened through the ashes, the darkness, and the whispers of the gods. The secrets of Troy were revealed only to those willing to accept their price, and every prophecy, every word, every breath was part of a great game in which past and future were woven into a single tapestry of eternity. Hidden among the ruins of Troy were artifacts that mortals had only heard of in legend. Scrolls inscribed with gold and ink emitted a subtle glow, as if Athena herself had imbued them with wisdom and mystery. Golden amulets, statues of gods, and ancient symbols held knowledge for which one would pay with eternity, and everyone who touched them felt a breath of curses and blessings simultaneously. Cassandra carefully lifted the scroll, her eyes filled not with fear, but with understanding. This knowledge was not for glory or power. It was intended for those capable of discerning the hidden connections between the fate of mortals and the will of the gods. Menelaus and Odysseus watched from afar, sensing how each artifact whispered stories of the fall of Troy, of love and betrayal, of heroism and destruction. Apollo softly illuminated the ruins with golden light, revealing hidden symbols that could point the way to understanding what had happened. Ares, by contrast, was present as an invisible threat, a reminder that power without wisdom can destroy everything. The ghosts of fallen heroes glided among these relics, guarding secret knowledge, their whispers merging with the breath of the wind and the quiet echo of the fire that once scorched Troy. And in this quiet, almost sacred darkness, each artifact was not just an object, but a key to understanding, a lesson that only a select few could grasp. The ashes beneath their feet, the whispers of the gods, and the flickering light of the scrolls created a sense that the past and future were forever intertwined, and the secrets left behind by heroes and gods awaited those ready to hear and understand them. Cassandra stood amid the ruins, her gaze fixed on the void, but her eyes saw more than the human mind could comprehend. The prophecies she whispered were not mere words, they were keys to the future, to events yet to come, already reflected in the shadows of the gods. Athena gently guided her thoughts, revealing hidden connections between the past, the present, and what was to come. Every whisper of the wind seemed the voice of fallen heroes. Hector, Achilles, Odysseus, and Menelaus. Their destinies intertwined with Cassandra's prophecies, creating a fabric where personal decisions became parts of an eternal pattern. Her words, filled with sorrow and wisdom, seemed to bring the ruins to life. Every movement, every stone and shadow became carriers of hidden knowledge. Apollo illuminated the symbols on the walls and stones, and their meaning became clear only to those willing to hear beyond the ordinary. Ares glided through the shadows, adding a subtle hint of danger and unpredictability, a reminder that power without understanding leads to destruction. The ghosts of fallen heroes listened intently, their whispers merging with the voices of the gods, creating a mysterious chorus that could instruct or warn anyone who dared enter this world. And in this silence, filled with light, shadow, and whispers, Cassandra understood a simple truth. Prophecies are not just predictions but also lessons bestowed by the gods on those who can see beyond mortals. Each of her whispers was part of an eternal game in which the destinies of heroes and humanity intertwined in an endless web of time, wisdom, and secret knowledge. Amid the ruins of Troy, artifacts left behind by gods and heroes held a power that could alter destinies. Golden amulets, ancient scrolls, and mysterious symbols emanated a subtle light felt not by the eyes, but by the heart. Cassandra touched one of the scrolls, and at that moment, the shadows of fallen heroes trembled, as if recognizing in her one capable of understanding secret knowledge. Each artifact was more than just an object, it was a messenger from the gods. Athena gently guided Cassandra's thoughts, revealing paths to solutions hidden even from living heroes. Apollo illuminated the mysterious inscriptions, and their meaning became clear only to those willing to listen to the whispers of both the past and the future. Ares remained in the shadows, a reminder that strength without wisdom always brings destruction, and every misstep leads to disaster. Menelaus, passing by, felt a slight tremor in his hands as he touched the fragments of the columns, as if the ruins themselves held knowledge and power. Odysseus read the symbols on the stones, his mind grasping the subtle clues left by the gods, and understood. The artifacts didn't simply tell a story, they influenced the living, the spirits of heroes, and the course of future events. And in this mystical light, amidst shadows and whispers, each hero realized a simple yet profound truth. The night gradually receded, and the first warm rays of light barely touched the ruins of Troy, penetrating the ashes and darkness. Cassandra stood among the artifacts, her eyes shining with both knowledge and sadness. She understood, every prophecy, every scroll, and every amulet represented a choice the heroes must make, and this choice would determine their destinies and the future of the world. Achilles felt the weight of his actions. Pride and anger intertwined within him, forcing him to consider that strength without wisdom is merely an empty gesture. Odysseus, studying the symbols on the broken columns, saw subtle hints from the gods that could change the outcome of future events. Menelaus and Helen felt both love and guilt, understanding that even the hearts of mortals are under the gaze of immortals. Athena whispered through the shadows, guiding their thoughts, softly, almost imperceptibly, but enough to soften their anger and fear. Apollo illuminated secret symbols, Ares reminded them of hidden danger, and Zeus watched majestically from above, reminding them that fate is a game where every step leaves a trace. And in this quiet light, Cassandra whispered the truth: past and future are intertwined, and knowledge is both a gift and a test. The heroes standing amid the ruins must make a choice that will determine not only their destinies but also the memory of Troy. And while their hearts trembled with the weight of knowledge, the night whispered a quiet lesson: only those willing to listen and see through the darkness can understand the meaning of the eternal game of gods and mortals. While mortals continued to live their destinies, the skies above Troy were the arena of an invisible battle. Athena and Apollo whispered through the clouds, their voices quiet, yet every word created a vortex of influence on world events. Ares, burning with rage, wove his webs of destruction, hidden from mortal eyes, while Zeus watched, as if balancing wrath and justice. The power of these gods was felt in every breath of wind, in every movement of shadow and flame. The heroes, even among the ruins, sensed an invisible presence, sometimes as a gentle touch of fate, sometimes in a whisper that penetrated straight to the heart. Achilles, mentally walking the fields, already sensed that the war was not over. It had simply changed form, becoming a play of gods and the shadows of the past. Echoes of fallen Troy combined with unseen forces, creating a sense that the world was filled with the secret agents of the gods, angelic figures who watched, guided, and sometimes gently corrected the course of events. Every step of the heroes was predetermined, yet filled with possibility. To understand the hidden, to recognize signs, and to embrace wisdom that mortals rarely dare to listen to. And as the night of Troy gradually dissolved into the soft light of morning, leaving behind the whispers of the fallen and the whispers of the gods, one lesson became clear: true battle is never seen, but its consequences are felt everywhere, in the hearts, thoughts, and actions of those living and those already gone. Through the fog and ashes of Troy's ruins, the invisible threads of the gods intertwined with the destinies of heroes. Athena gently guided Odysseus's thoughts, revealing hidden paths, secret clues, and seemingly impossible possibilities. Ares, in the shadows, created moments of danger, pushing events toward chaos, reminding them that uncontrolled power brings destruction. Menelaus and Helen, though their steps were cautious, sensed subtle shifts in the world. The whispers of the gods, the gentle touches of fate. Every action of mortals was part of a great game, where the invisible hands of immortals adjusted events, leaving lessons that only the attentive and courageous could understand. Zeus, majestic and stern, watched from above, his silent gaze a reminder that true power comes not from strength, but from the ability to see and understand hidden patterns. The ghosts of fallen heroes glided silently among the ruins, their presence becoming a link between the past and the present, a reminder that the lessons of Troy live forever. And in this invisible battle, full of whispers, light, and shadows, each hero sensed the truth: fate is not always man's, but man can learn to read the signs, hear the whispers, and choose a path that leaves a mark. Wisdom, courage, and understanding became invisible weapons, and the game of the gods. A lesson that continues even when mortals think the battle is over. In the silence of the Trojan ruins, where ash and darkness mingled with the soft light of early morning, Athena and Apollo quietly guided the heroes. Their promptings were barely audible, like the whisper of the wind among columns, but they possessed the power to open the eyes of those willing to listen. Odysseus noticed subtle signs in the rubble of buildings, in the cracks of columns, signs others would have overlooked. While Menelaus sensed the tension and soft presence of unseen forces in the air, Athena revealed logical connections and the hidden consequences of past actions, allowing them to understand that every step in the gods' game has meaning, even if mortals cannot immediately comprehend it. Apollo, with the soft light of his presence, revealed the hidden beauty and harmony of the world, hidden amid chaos, destruction, and fear. The ghosts of fallen heroes glided nearby, almost unnoticed, their whispers intertwined with the voices of the gods. They reminded them that even amidst ruin and collapse, there was opportunity to learn and understand, to see more than meets the eye. Ares remained in the shadows, adding a subtle threat that any false step could lead to disaster, and this feeling kept the heroes constantly on guard. And as they walked amidst the destruction, the whispers of the gods became a quiet lesson. Knowledge, strength, and wisdom always go together, and those who can see them can not only survive the fall but also understand the hidden truths that lead to future events. In this soft light, amidst shadows and whispers, every step became part of an eternal game, where past, present, and future are forever intertwined. Through the ruins of Troy, the heroes walked, unaware that their hearts were under the invisible influence of the gods. Athena gently touched Odysseus's thoughts, awakening cunning and insight, while Apollo revealed secrets to him that seemed impossible for mortal understanding. Ares glided in the shadows, urging impulsive decisions, reminding him that power without control is always destructive. Menelaus and Helen felt a slight uneasiness and a strange attraction to certain places among the ruins, as if invisible threads connected their hearts to the past and the future. Every decision the heroes made, every step through the ruined city, became a reflection of the gods' secret play, a test of wisdom, courage, and the ability to distinguish truth from illusion. The ghosts of fallen heroes and the whispers of the gods mingled with the wind, a reminder. Free will is not absolute, but it exists where attention and wisdom meet understanding. Every moment, every choice is not just an action, but a lesson that will live on in legends, the whisper of the wind, and the shadows of ruins for centuries to come. And in this invisible clash of strength, reason, and will, each hero sensed the truth. Even amidst manipulation and magical influences, the human heart is capable of choosing a path that will become part of an eternal game, where past, present, and future are intertwined into a single mystical tapestry of fate. The quiet whispers of an eternal battle drifted through the ruins of Troy. The invisible powers of the gods still intertwined the destinies of heroes, and every step seemed simultaneously random and predetermined. Athena gently guided their thoughts, leaving clues for those capable of discerning hidden patterns, while Apollo illuminated the path of knowledge, piercing the darkness of misunderstanding. Ares remained in the shadows, his presence barely noticeable, but a reminder that every mistake, every impulsive act could lead to destruction. Zeus watched from above, majestic and stern, as if reminding them of balance, that strength without wisdom brings only chaos, and that fate is a complex game where every step matters. Odysseus, Menelaus, and Helen felt an invisible thread connecting them to the past and the future. The ghosts of fallen heroes glided nearby, whispering their lessons. Courage, wisdom, love, and honor, all intertwined in the eternal game of gods and mortals. Ash, darkness, and soft light created the feeling that the past lived in the present, and the future was already writing its lines on the invisible scrolls of fate. And in this quiet echo of the immortals, a lesson rang out: even when a battle seems over, its consequences are felt everywhere, in the thoughts, actions, and hearts of the heroes. The invisible war of the gods continues, and those who are able to listen, see, and understand will be able to navigate the chaos with wisdom, strength, and humanity intact. Night gradually receded, leaving behind the soft light of dawn, which touched the ruined streets of Troy like the golden whisper of the gods. The heroes walked among the shadows, feeling how every column, every fragment carried the memory of past exploits, victories and defeats, love and betrayal. Achilles, Odysseus, Menelaus, and Helen all felt simultaneously the weight of the past and the soft presence of the wisdom left by the gods. The ghosts of fallen heroes glided nearby, their whispers merging with the breath of the wind and the quiet echo of the footsteps of the living. Cassandra, standing at the edge of the ruins, saw the lines of fate intertwined between heroes, gods, and mortals. She understood that knowledge is not just a tool, but a test, a gift that carries responsibility, and only those who can heed the whispers of eternity can comprehend its meaning. Athena gently touched the heroes' thoughts, revealing hidden patterns. Apollo illuminated invisible symbols, and Ares reminded them that strength always comes with danger. Zeus, watching from above, created a balance that allowed the past, present, and future to converge into a single canvas. And in this soft light, amidst shadows, whispers, and ashes, each hero sensed a lesson. Fate is not only the actions of mortals, but also a reflection of the play of the gods. Love, wrath, honor, and wisdom are woven into the eternal fabric of history, and understanding this play becomes part of the journey itself. In the silence of the ruins, the quiet voice of eternity was heard, a whisper that reminds, the past lives in the present, and the future is only a reflection of those who are able to see and listen. Among the ruins of Troy, the wind whispered stories of how cities may fall and heroes perish, yet wisdom, knowledge, and the memory of heroic deeds remained eternal. Achilles, whose victories and sufferings were known to all, seemed a shadow of his former self, but his spirit responded vividly to the whispers of the gods, reminding them that even death does not destroy a true legacy. Menelaus and Helen walked side by side, their love, guilt, and bitterness intertwined into a single thread that reflected the lessons of the eternal game. Their every feeling, every thought was both a test and a revelation, how strength and wisdom, anger and mercy, passion and patience are connected. Athena gently guided them, Apollo illuminated the path of knowledge, and Ares reminded them of the hidden danger, that even amidst victories, new trials can lurk. The ghosts of fallen heroes glided among the ruins, their whispers uniting in a quiet chorus of eternity, a reminder that the past lives in the present, and the future is but a reflection of those who can heed the whisper. The powers of the gods, like invisible threads, connected everything: the fall of Troy, the choice of heroes, wisdom, and secret knowledge. And in this soft, almost sacred light, every mortal and immortal understood. True strength lies not in victories and destruction, but in the ability to see, listen, and learn. Fall is only the beginning of a new understanding, and rebirth comes to those who can heed the whispers of eternity and learn from the shadows of the past to move forward, preserving the wisdom, honor, and light left by the gods. Night slowly gave way to the first light of dawn, and the ruins of Troy glowed with a soft, golden light. The heroes walked through the shadows of the past, feeling every breath of history. Achilles, Menelaus, Odysseus, and Helen seemed to hear the quiet whispers of the fallen and the whispers of the gods, connecting their souls with eternity. Cassandra stood to the side, her eyes reflecting the wisdom, bitterness, and knowledge that the prophecies carried. She understood. The past lives not only in chronicles, but also in the hearts of those willing to listen. Athena gently touched the heroes' thoughts, Apollo illuminated hidden paths, and Ares remained in the shadows, reminding them that every action has consequences. And in this whisper of eternity lay a simple truth: heroes fell, cities crumbled, but knowledge, love, and honor live on in the world's memory. The wind slid across the ruins like the breath of history, reminding us that every fall is a lesson, and every awakening a chance to understand the secrets left behind by the immortals. And as the night gently faded, leaving behind the whisper of shadows and the quiet light of dawn, everyone could hear the call of eternity: listen, remember, learn, and move forward. May the shadows of Troy remain with us as we preserve the wisdom, honor, and light left behind by heroes and gods.